Welcome to the Reach Evaluation and Moving the Point Coordinates training video. This video explains how to determine if a reach is sampleable and how to move the point coordinates up or downstream if needed. This video also discusses how to document reaches that cannot be sampled. This information is also located in the 1735-2 Lotic AIM Field Protocol in Section 3.2. There is a flow chart in Section 3.2 of the Field Protocol that walks through the Lotic AIM Reach evaluation process. The first step in the process is to attempt to access the point coordinates. In some cases, a sample location may not be accessible due to unforeseen conditions, such as extreme afternoon thunderstorms or washed out roads. The second step in the reach evaluation process is to determine if the reach is safe to sample. Some obstacles may have been identified during the scouting process, but objective and transient hazards are usually not identified during scouting. These unforeseen circumstances include high water, steep terrain, and extremely dense vegetation. In addition to terrain or weather-related challenges to sampling, some reaches may simply not contain certain criteria needed for sampling. It is important to note, though, that all the reaches shown in these photos were sampled. Lotic AIM requires personal safety as the foremost priority. But if safety is not being compromised, it is expected that those collecting AIM data do everything they can to access and sample a reach. The next step is to determine if the reach meets the sampleability criteria. To sample a Lotic AIM reach, 5 of the 11 transects within a reach must meet 5 criteria. These 5 transects, which do not have to be in consecutive order, must have identifiable bankful features, have flowing or stagnant water that is not impounded, be safely wadable, and have water levels below bankful, and be situated on BLM land. If a reach does not meet these criteria, it may have to be rejected. This reach has a waterfall that begins downstream of the point coordinates. There is no way around the waterfall because of steep cliffs. There are identifiable bankful features. The area above the waterfall is safely wadable, and the point is on BLM land. Is the reach sampleable where it is now? Yes, it is. Since the point coordinates are where transect F is located, transects F through K, a total of 6 transects, are accessible and meet the 5 criteria. Major beaver activity has impounded 7 transects at this reach. Bankful cannot be identified at the impounded transects. The reach is on BLM land. Is the reach sampleable where it is currently? No. This reach cannot be sampled where it is currently because it does not meet Lotic AIM Field Protocol criteria. Only 4 transects meet the needed criteria. When situations like this arise, the point coordinates can be moved so that there are at least 5 transects in the reach that will meet all criteria. For reaches that are between 150 and 500 meters long, point coordinates can be moved a maximum of 250 meters up or downstream. For reaches greater than 500 meters, the point coordinates can be moved, but the original point must be within the new sample reach. The point coordinates should be moved if it is the only way to make 5 transects of the reach meet all criteria, for more transects to occur on BLM land, and to avoid changing stream size categories. On average, points are moved about 20% of the time. A reach should not be moved, for example, to avoid annoying vegetation or semi-difficult terrain. Revisit reaches that have data associated with a previous visit should also not be moved, and neither should targeted nor merged points unless the project lead says so. The point coordinates should be moved up or downstream only far enough to meet the following criteria, but it is important that points not be moved further than absolutely necessary. Moving point coordinates for the latter 2 reasons may or may not increase the number of accessible transects. Here is an example of a partially dry reach. 8 of the 11 transects are dry and 3 are wet. Downstream of the dry section, the stream is constantly wet. The point coordinates should be moved downstream. First, the point coordinates should be moved down 2 transects, because 2 transects will be added onto the bottom of the reach to get 5 wetted transects. Next, measure out 2 more transects below A and move the A transect. Then, remove the top 2 transects and move K to the new top of the reach. Now there are 5 wet transects and the reach can be sampled. In some cases, the point coordinates of a reach will need to be moved so all transects occur on BLM land. To do this, a GPS is used to estimate distances from the original point coordinates. For example, the point coordinates for this reach are located close to national forest lands. The point coordinates should be moved towards the BLM land that is downstream to enable all transects on BLM land. It is a smaller system, so the points can be moved up to 250 meters from the original point coordinates. The GPS shows that the BLM boundary is 30 meters from the original point coordinates, so the original point coordinates can be moved so that all transects fall on BLM land. In this example, the stream is dry at the point coordinates. There needs to be 5 wetted transects for an AIM reach to be defined as sampleable. Upstream of the point coordinates is also dry, but there is a spring that creates a small stream approximately 100 meters downstream from the point coordinates. This means, for this 150-meter reach, that all transects would be located upstream of the spring and no transects would have water. The point coordinates can be moved because the spring is well within 250 meters from the original point coordinates. Should the new point coordinates, which is also transect F, be placed at option 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? The correct answer is option 1. Moving the point coordinates so that E is at the top of the spring is the least distance the point coordinates can be moved while still having 5 transects that are wet. In this example, the reach is full of stagnant puddles. 5 of the transects in the reach intersect some of these puddles. Is the reach sampleable where it is now? Do the point coordinates need to be moved? If so, how far can they be potentially moved if the average bankful width was 5 meters? Yes, it is sampleable where it is now, and the point coordinates do not need to be moved. This system can be sampled where it is now because there are 5 wetted transects, and there does not need to be flowing water to sample a reach. This stream is flowing very quickly, and the location of bankful is unclear. This stream may be flowing at bankful. It is also unclear if the transects are safely wadable. Is the stream sampleable where it is now? Should the point coordinates be moved? If so, how far can the point coordinates be moved if you estimate the average bankful to be around 10 meters? No, the stream is not sampleable where it is now. The point coordinates should not be moved because if a stream is flowing at bankful or bankful cannot be determined, it does not meet the criteria needed to sample an AIM reach. Since the average bankful width is estimated to be around 10 meters, the reach length would be 200 meters long, so the point coordinates can be moved up to 250 meters. However, if the stream is flowing above bankful, moving the point coordinates may not help, and the reach may need to be revisited at a different time when flows are lower. This stream has a fence across it with a private property sign downstream of the point coordinates. Staying upstream of the fence, the average bankful width is 8 meters. The reach is laid out upstream of the fence and transects E through K were placed. Is the reach sampleable where it is now? Do the point coordinates for this reach need to be moved? If so, how far? No, the reach must be moved to allow transects A through D to fall on BLM land and no further. Points should be moved as little as possible and only just enough to meet the criteria. Keep in mind that determining land ownership is not always this easy, so maps that show land ownership should always be carried in the field. As discussed in previous videos, Lotic AIM reaches are broken up into small streams, large streams, and rivers. It is important that a reach is sampled on the same stream size classification that it is assigned. A reach should be sampled on the same size stream classification that it is assigned, and points can be moved to avoid changing classifications. When setting up the reach or moving point coordinates, be sure to consult the field map's NHD layer for tributaries, whose inflow could cause stream size changes. Move the point coordinates to avoid this scenario, so that all transects occur on the same size stream. If the points cannot be moved to avoid changing stream sizes, do not sample the transects that occur on the different size stream. The point coordinates for Lotic AIM reaches that have been sampled in the past, targeted points, or merged points should not be moved. These reaches should not be moved because trends for these systems cannot be analyzed if sampling did not occur in the same area. At all Lotic AIM reaches where the point coordinates were moved, record the new location of the point coordinates and the reason why the original point coordinates were moved. In some cases, a reach may not be sampleable and moving the point coordinates will not make it sampleable. Reaches that are not sampled are broken up into 3 categories: reattempt, permanently inaccessible, and non-target. These categories are detailed in the field protocol. A reach may be classified as reattempt if the reach cannot be accessed on the first try, but there may be a different route, vehicle, or time of year that will make the reach approachable. For example, a reach may be marked as reattempt if a landowner needs to be contacted in order to gain permission to pass through private land. A reach may also need to be reattempted due to long hikes or bad weather, which shorten the amount of time available to sample the reach. A reach may be marked as permanently inaccessible because there is no way to access or sample the reach. This may occur because of access issues from a private landowner, unmanageable terrain, or severely dense vegetation. A reach may also be permanently inaccessible because it is too dangerous to wade or boat due to extreme whitewater or steep drainages. Lastly, a reach can be marked as a non-target. Non-target reaches are those that do not meet the target population for which Lotic AIM reaches were designed. Non-target reaches are classified as a reach with fewer than 5 wetted transects, a lentic system, a map error, or a non-wadable system sampleable only by boat in some cases. Non-target reaches that have fewer than 5 wetted transects are classified as either intermittent or ephemeral during field evaluation. As discussed in the critical concepts videos, intermittent streams have irregular flow patterns and do not contain recognizable bankful features. Ephemeral systems have sporadic flow patterns, do not contain bankful features, and usually have upland vegetation growing in the channel. If a point coordinate lands on an intermittent or ephemeral stream, attempt to move the point to a part of the reach with 5 wetted transects. The Lotic AIM protocol is only used to collect data on Lotic systems, which includes streams and rivers, and not on lentic systems like lakes or wetlands. If a point lands on a lentic system, like a lake or a wetland, first determine if the point can be moved to a Lotic system, and if not, it should be marked as non-target lentic. A non-target reach may be classified as a map error if there is no evidence that a Lotic system has ever been present, or if it is located on a man-made channel like a canal or irrigation ditch. All reaches that were not sampled should be documented with a specific classification along with GPS points, photos, and comments on why the point was not sampled. This concludes the reach evaluation and reach setup video. Please complete the quiz to review.